Guys, I'm fucking distraught. I've got a serious confession. A deep, dark, depressing secret. A DDDS for you guys. I need to get it off my chest before this podcast gets underway. You know, at the Downbeat, it's just me. And maybe if it wasn't just me, this wouldn't have happened. We're trying to do this good quality shit, and we listen to my voice now. Oh, it's crispy, velvety tone. Yeah, and that's what we try and do every episode. Other than the Will Putney episode, massive Grammy-nominated producer Will Putney sent me a dog shit audio file, which, you know, looking back, is funny. But what's happened this week is that I've got a guest on. Might as well tell you who the guest is. My guest this week is Ed Gamble. Ed Gamble is a comedian from the UK. He's been, he's on TV with Mock the Week. He has, at the time of speaking, the number one podcast in the UK, which is Off Menu with James Acaster, where they have a guest on and the guest talks about their dream menu, and it's very, very funny. So my guest this week is the number one podcaster in the UK. And what I've done, the stupid fucking idiot prick, me, Craig Reynolds, prick extraordinaire, is during the first sentence, that's sentence number one of the podcast, I have knocked my microphone or my interface or something, and I've converted this glorious velvety tone you hear now into what I can only describe as original Game Boy audio, 8-bit bullshit, and I can't do anything about it. I've tried to fix it. I've tried to tart it up a little bit of lipstick on there, nothing. I would say it brings it down to maybe a 9 in terms of content. We're usually a solid 10. It brings it down to sort of other people's podcast level of quality. Maybe, not number one podcast in the UK quality. I mean, like, another metalcore musician has got a podcast, it's all done on Zoom. So it's one of those episodes that I fucking hate. And I'm sorry, and if you pay money to the Patreon, which is at www.onlyflams.com, I suggest you cancel that as a punishment to me. Like, my penance should be that you no longer give me the money I need to rent the studio that we're planning to do the TV shit, because what if the shit happens all the time? So I'm actually, all jokes aside, deeply depressed about this, because I was maybe it's not as bad as I think it is, but when I listen to it, it sounds like I'm just farting into the microphone. My guest is being very funny. Ed's a very witty, funny man, and I'm just going, oh yeah, just diarrhea down the fucking microphone. It's Ed Gamble on the Downbeat podcast. Ed Gamble. I pulled in a fucking mate favour for this one. Because I would say you're the most... I don't want to immediately just fucking suck you off straight away. the most famous non-musician on the podcast. There's not been many non-musicians. Sorry, you may be a musician.
Well, I was going to... No, I'm not. I'm absolutely not a musician. But I was going to say, I've looked at who you've had on the podcast. You've not had many non-musicians. So I think being the most famous non-musician who's been on the podcast it's not that impressive, is it?
I mean, the strongest man in Canada. I mean, the problem is that I can't really get anyone to take it seriously unless they like metal.
Right.
Because if I approach someone I would love to have on the podcast and they look at it and they see the pentagram logo and they're like, what do you want me to do here?
Yeah, it looks slightly intimidating from an outside perspective, right?
I mean, I hope so. That's the vibe
idea
I'm going for.
That's the good thing about podcasts, is you want to make sure that the artwork actively puts people off.
Exactly. I want people to go, well, I'm not listening to that.
Yeah.
That's the ideal. So we don't, for anyone that's listening, we don't know each other until right now.
First time seeing each other's faces. We've texted each other.
Very handsome man, aren't you?
Well, you too. What a lovely way to kick off a podcast with a bit of complimentary stuff.
That chiseled jaw is absolutely insane. Oh, he's been to the gym or something. That's a big 5-litre bottle of water.
Yeah, trying to stay hydrated in lockdown. You know how it is.
working that chiseled jawline out. But we got a mutual friend of Samuel David
Indeed.
Carter.
Yes.
And I would never have approached you to come on this because you have an infinitely more successful podcast. And I don't want to be the guy that's like, hi, guy with bigger podcast. Do you want to come on mine? And I'll take some of your listeners. Because that's what it is, isn't it?
It totally is. And I do get a bit of that. People do ask me to come on the podcast it's just I can promote my podcast on here, and it's all, we're all one big podcast family, but quite often I'm too lazy to say yes. So you caught me on a good night. In fact, I think Sam caught you, because I was texting Sam and he was like, you should get Gamble on the podcast. And I was like, yeah, I'd fucking love to. And he's like, ask him. I was like, I've got no way of asking him. He was like, I'll ask him. I was like, okay, just make sure it's not like you pulling in some massive favour. Just ask him. If he's up for it, then he's up for it. And then he said you were, and I was like, yes, get him, Sam, get him. Do the email, do the fucking whatever we've got to do. Well, Sam's so lovely. He's a very difficult man to say no to be honest. Yes. Also, he sent me some merch, so I can't say no now. Oh, that old chestnut. He's very good for sending out merch, though, isn't he? Yeah. Just get a little text. Do you want anything? I feel like they made too much merch. I mean, that's not a bad place to be when there's no gigs. Essentially, I was talking to, I was actually talking to Dan, Architects Dan, the other day, and we were just talking about about the whole Royal Albert Hall thing. I'm sure you watched it. Yeah. All of this, when it boils down to it, obviously, music is an art form and everything, and we've got stories to tell. But all of it in the music world, at least, everything you do, renting out the Royal Albert Hall is just so you can sell T-shirts, essentially, because you need the money from T-shirts right now. So it's like, okay, so we'll rent the most prestigious venue in the UK. We'll play a new song. Obviously, they want to get the new songs out there, but hopefully, then people will buy T-shirts so we can survive. It's mad, isn't it? I don't really know how the economics of it works, but I guess is it records and T-shirts really? I guess no touring at the moment. Not even records. But like physical records, if you sell it like vinyl and T-shirts, essentially is what you're hoping to shift. Yeah, but even then, vinyl, but like CDs and digital, the label takes such a big cut. Yeah, it's just fucking might as well be T-shirts. Do you sell T-shirts in comedy? We have off-menu merch, which is my podcast. We've done that. We did a run of 4 different T-shirts. We've got 4 of our favourite artists to design T-shirts for us. And we did like tote bags and stuff like that. And did we do an apron? We did a mug. But that's the first. Apron's a fucking shout. That's so got to do an apron. That's the first time I've ever done any merch. It's difficult. I think some comedians do merch, but like the bigger comedians who are doing like big arena tours. So, you turn up and you can buy it. But who wants... I wouldn't wear a comedian T-shirt. Would it be like just their face? Yeah, it's like their face or like a line from the show or like a catchphrase if they're like I'm not going to wear it, so I wouldn't make it. But the off-menu stuff is cool because we got obviously I managed to sneak a sort of black metal design in there as well. Yes. But we got some really cool stuff made. But I think for my stand-up it'd be weird. Well, you just have like Ed Gamble and then my face. It's bizarre. It reminds me of the extras episode when everyone in the crowd is wearing That's exactly what it is. The slogans, yeah. Yeah, and he looks at the people wearing the T-shirts, he's like, this is not what I wanted to do. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, fuck, I could watch it all day. The black metal T-shirt, did you get a legit designer? So we got Ian Seller, who is a brilliant tattoo artist and graphic designer from Bristol, and he's done 3 of my tattoos, and he's really good and he gets it. And he's like a comedy fan and a metal fan, so I just thought it was perfect. So there's a running joke on the podcast that I love cheese boards and James Acaster absolutely hates them. So we got like me and like hooded up with corpse paint on, and then his head chopped off on a plate with like fondue in the skull. That's so sick. Yeah, it's really cool. It's really cool. I like that you're out there with how much you like metal. Again, I wouldn't have even bothered. I'm hoping, because at the end of the day, anyone that listens to the podcast knows I wish I was a comedian. But what I do have is like a cool platform. Like you've had Corey on Off Menu. Yes. Obviously, technically, with this being Knotfest, I guess without
I guess he's technically my boss overall, but not really. But do you know what I mean? There's a.
If he called you up and told you to do something, you'd probably have to do it, right?
Yeah. If he said Ed Gamble episode, delete it now because the shit you're about to say in about 10 minutes time and completely defame the whole Knotfest platform. So when Sam said you might be up for it, I was like, I want to be a comedian, but maybe he wants to be in the metal world, so I could steal him for a fucking.
Yeah, exactly. Well, no, there's an element of that, definitely. I love chatting about metal. I like speaking to people in bands and stuff. So yeah, that if this was any other genre, if this was a hip hop podcast, I'd probably. Oh, actually, no, I like hip hop as well. I don't have much on at the moment.
Speaking of not having much on, like, where are you from? Where are you based now?
So I'm based.
There's two questions. I've given you two questions.
Well, they're sort of both. I mean, London is the answer for both of them. So I'm based in East London now, but I grew up in Southwest London. So I haven't really moved very far. But yeah, so pretty much London all my life. I went to uni in the Northeast, so I lived there for 3 years. But apart from that, I've always lived in London. Yeah, not very exciting. The most sort of bland, middle class, like suburban upbringing.
I mean, it's still a lovely place, though, isn't it? I'd love to live in London.
Where are you?
Funnily enough, I'm in Glasgow. I'm in Scotland's London.
I mean, Glasgow is beautiful, though.
I'm big Glasgow fan. That's a whole different story. Like how I'm here, which you don't need to know this. It's everyone that's listening already knows the tumultuous circumstances that have led to me being locked down in Glasgow, but I'm loving it.
Good.
So that's my next question was going to be. I don't have any questions, by the way. I'm just trying to be slightly professional. In my head, I've got 3 ways that we're going to do this. We're going to do Ed Gamble the man. Why is he what he is and how he does, right? Then we're going to do the podcasting side of things.
Yeah.
Because you're big fucking shot podcaster. And then we'll do the metal, which will be the. If this was off menu, that would be the main, you know?
Yes, got you.
Just see what I've done there. I've used your podcast.
But we're going to put the main. We're going to put the main at the end.
Yeah, well, there'll be no dessert.
Okay. Well, this is going to be a very disappointing audio meal for everyone.
Well, the analogy is fucking dead in the water. So, what the fuck are you doing in lockdown? Like, is podcasting your main thing?
Yeah.
Or have you got other shit going on?
No, for sure. I mean, lockdown 1 was, obviously mad for everyone. But I was doing a lot of podcasting. I was doing online gigs for a bit, which I now have refused to do.
Oh, go on. Come
well,
on. Stay on that for a little bit.
I thought it's a new thing, and the novelty of it, I thought I'd give them a go. But they were just kind of bleak. Some people are really good at them, but no one really knew how to put them on properly. So some of them you could hear the audience. You could hear everyone watching, so they'd all have their mics on in the Zoom, but it was kind of distracting.
How many people?
Well, sometimes you'd have 100 people or 200 people, and you could hear all of them, which was obviously too much. So
my God! Who okayed this?
The thing is, obviously, people wanted to keep going, and they wanted to sell tickets, and they wanted to keep the gigs going, which is great, and I was happy to do them for that. But then there was some where there was a front row, so there would be 8 or 9 people on the Zoom with you, so you could see faces and you could get reactions and stuff, and that was kind of okay. But then I did quite a few where the compere would be on the Zoom and they'd be like, please welcome Ed Gamble. And then you'd have to hit unmute yourself and put your video
This is like a Black Mirror episode.
Yeah.
I'm
it
getting
totally is,
my asshole is going just thinking about fucking doing that. Do you have Zoom PTSD from that?
I mean, so the ones where you couldn't hear anything, so the ones where you just went onto the Zoom and you could only really see your own face, and you were doing jokes and getting nothing back because everyone was on mute, were proper.
My God.
It wasn't just PTSD; it was TSD. And I think I worked out with gigs. I need the journey there, and I need the journey back to fully enjoy it, because I was like doing the gig, not having any adrenaline because there was no build up. I'd just have dinner and then come up and do a gig.
Fucking full on pasta meal.
Yeah. And then I'd like, shut the laptop and just go back downstairs again. So there was no like adrenaline flow or anything. It was kind of made you feel a bit dead inside. So I'm doing less and less of those now.
Yeah, that sounds horrible.
Yeah, so that was pretty horrible. But podcasting's all fine over Zoom. I've enjoyed that. And I've dipped my toe into trying to do some other projects, start writing a book, start writing a sitcom, that kind of thing. But they're very, very early stages. That was just knocking around ideas. But yeah,
do you get the guilt?
Right.
Do you get the guilt of, I've been thinking about doing a sitcom. If I'm not going to do it now, I'm never going to do it. I've got all this fucking time.
Totally. But I get the guilt as well, because I would say, I've got a full week now. I don't even have any podcasts. I'm literally just at home. I should be able to make a good crack on this. And then you get to Thursday and you're like, well, I've done nothing. I'm a useless piece of shit.
Yeah.
All the time I get that. But it's lockdown 2, I've let that go. I'm not being guilty anymore.
I'm sailing through this one. The last one, absolute mental breakdown. Like, what? really didn't come out of that last one. This one, I'm like, this is fucking, 3 weeks, Boris? 3 weeks? Fuck
we can handle that. The thing is, when we came out of lockdown 1, they started putting gigs back on because they could work out a way of doing... some gigs were inside a little bit later on, but then they had some outdoor gigs in the summer. And I did drive-in gigs. I did like 4 drive-in gigs, which, let me tell you, was an even more Black Mirror bleak experience than...
More TSD?
Yeah, so much TSD.
Lloyd's TSD?
It's Lloyd's TSD, mate, because people were honking their horns instead of laughing.
No fucking way. I want to fucking smash my MacBook up right
now. Because everyone's just sat in their cars, in their bubbles, and then you'd make a joke and they'd all honk. Or flash their lights.
Fuck right off. That is fucking... I never even thought of the access to buttons during... Because they're doing drive-through gigs.
Yeah.
But the honking... Of course people are going to honk.
Yeah, that's how you would show appreciation, because they're parked quite far away.
What sort of honk are we talking?
Well, it's very difficult to get different tones in a honk, right? So,
did people have... like some people have like a... distinctive like Jimmy Carr laugh. Did you have like one fucking truck over there that was like
but it turns out that was just Jimmy Carr laughing. All right, Jimmy. That was a bizarre experience. I don't want to do those again. But again, I'll do anything once or twice for the novelty.
But as long as the novelty isn't TSD.
Yeah, exactly. But now like then gigs came back a little bit, but they all felt a bit weird. So because they were trying to obviously get round the problems, but social distanced audiences just feels like you've not sold very well. Anything closer than that, you feel like it's being dangerous. There's an amazing comedy venue in North London called the Bill Murray, which is a pub they took over basically and turned it into a little comedy room. And the way they did it, because it's quite a small room, is they put a Perspex sheet in front of the stage. So you're basically like essentially wearing a huge body mask to block you off from the audience.
The whole stage?
Yeah, the whole front of the stage is just a massive Perspex sheet hanging from the ceiling.
Like a Pope-mobile, but...
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly like a Pope-mobile. But what they hadn't factored in, and it was genuinely funny, when they turned the stage light on, you could see a perfect reflection of yourself in the Perspex sheet for the whole thing. So I did an hour of comedy this close to my own face.
Oh, this is your book, because this is so fucking these are the things that I would never have thought of, that like are problems that have arisen from this very unique situation.
Yeah.
But the problems in themselves are so fucking funny.
Yeah, exactly. I'm kind of proud of stand-up comedy for working out all those different ways of doing it safely, but I really hope it doesn't come to that again. I really hope we get the vaccine sorted, and because when that's sorted and we can have proper gigs again, it's going to be a fucking laugh. Same with you guys, right?
The general consensus is we had our first cancelled gig was April, was a US tour which got canned, and it was like, it's getting moved to July, it'll be fine. And we were like, oh yeah, cool. And then July comes and it's like, oh yeah, it's looking more like December. And we're like, yeah, that's fine. And then it got to like the fucking peak, and then it was like, okay, gigging is over for 2020, probably 2021, and then they were talking about, there was a lot of like booking agents and everyone were just still booking because obviously they have to, or else they don't have a job. So they were like, in their heads, they knew like, this is not going to happen, but it's either this or I don't sit on my computer do any work.
Yeah.
So people just kept moving things. But then since the vaccine announcement, the general underbubble of people talking is festivals maybe next summer, because it's quite easy. It's easier to shield and socially distance or whatever. And then general consensus is with a vaccine passport type thing where you would get it and then be able to travel, then international touring could be back the end of next year. So,
well, that would be amazing. That would be amazing.
I'll take that, because in my head I was like, oh, this is it. It's just done now.
Yeah. I mean, that festivals coming back would be incredible. I mean, Download would be an absolute. Just people are going to go fucking insane, aren't they?
People that would have died from the virus will now be dying from partying. Survived the virus, drank 2 litres of vodka, dead.
But I'd imagine your gigs are pretty like full on anyway, right? The first one back after this, if everyone feels safe, is going to be. It's going to be. It might even just be awful. Something really bad might happen.
It might be quite dark, quite sinister. I don't know how they'll work it, but I think in general there might have to be like a tighter. Yeah, you made a funny joke, and now I'm like, actually, I think there might have to be a tighter legislation with the public liability insurance, because obviously, if you like, let's say our singer was a silent carrier or whatever, and he didn't have the vaccine, and then there's a kid with asthma on the front row. Kid with asthma gets it, dies. Like Randy from Lamb of God told a kid to stage dive.
Yeah,
the kid did it, died, and then he went to jail.
Yeah,
like, let alone coughing an infectious virus onto a kid. So I think something will have to change. So if it does, and there's a real strict public liability thing that every person at the gig has to sign, I am okay if I die, then the shows are going to be nuts, because it'll be like, I want to see everyone stay. You've all signed the paper, yeah? Okay, I want to see everyone climb up and jump off the top of the fucking 5G tower next to the venue.
I actually said to Sam recently, we were texting about the first gigs back are going to be amazing. Can't wait for it. And I did have to admit that I'll probably, even the first gig back, I'll probably still leave about 10 minutes before the end, so I miss the rush on the tube.
Oh, big time.
I'm not staying till the end.
Absolutely. I had I've told it before on the podcast, but like my favourite band of all time, obviously I love metal and everything, but my favourite band of all time is Radiohead, just forever. And I managed to get, when they did the Roundhouse like 2 years ago, I managed to get tickets, and obviously Radiohead in a 3,000 cap venue just doesn't happen. And then my mate, when he was sorting it out for me, was like, yeah, so do you want seated or standing? And the kid in me just immediately went, oh yeah, standing, yeah, I ain't seating, standing. I got an hour in, fucking hated it. My favourite band of all time was, I want to go home, my back hurts. I could be sat there, up there in the rafters, just watching nicely.
Yeah.
Like, I love it. Live for the rocking, but please give me a seat. I'm a drummer. I need to sit down.
I always get standing, but I really think I'm going to make the switch soon. I think I've only seen obviously I went and see Metallica a couple of years ago at Twickenham, and obviously got seated there because I'm not going to stand up at Twickenham Stadium. Got to get a seat, and then obviously leave before the end.
Did you enjoy it?
I did enjoy it. I watched it. It's more like a theatre show at this point, right?
Yeah.
Especially if you're sat down. I mean, the lights were good. There was a lot of... the videos were good.
The videos were good?
I mean,
what songs would you miss if you left 10 minutes before the end with Metallica? Like, I can't... I've seen Metallica.
All the songs that you've probably seen live before anyway.
I can't even think what... Because I feel like every time that I've watched Metallica, like... The real bangers, they are dropping them early. Master of Puppets is coming out fucking early. Yeah,
they kind of sprinkle them through, right?
I mean, if I'm missing Enter Sandman, thank fuck, because I honestly don't care. Sorry, Metallica,
I think we did. I think we heard Enter Sandman as we were walking to find a cab, to be honest.
What the fuck are they ending with then? I really want to. I mean, I'm not. That's not
Can't
me
even
asking
remember.
you.
I can look it up
Putting
now.
you on the spot. Excuse me.
mean-
Are you a real metal fan? You don't know what Metallica ends with?
Yeah, but also I hate admitting this as well because I am a Metallica fan, but also I'm not that bothered.
Yeah, same. There's so much shit.
I think they have a lot of amazing stuff and then a lot of broadly fine stuff. So I'm not like a proper like Metallica obsessive or anything.
Yeah, there's like 11 Metallica albums. There's 4.
Yeah, exactly.
So the man Ed Gamble is there. He lives in London. There's never any script for my podcast. So
Yeah.
yours I can hear that yours has. You got the sparkling water. You got the fucking.
Oh, sure.
whatever.
We need a structure because it wanders off so easily. Anyway,
I mean,
we need
the
something
one
to come
time I
back to.
tried it. The one time I tried to do structure, it was like the worst episode ever. I was like, I just felt like press. Like, so it says here that I was just like, no, fuck that. I'll just have a basic idea. So why are you a comedian? How did it happen? I don't want to go fucking too mental, but like, why do you love metal but you're not a metal musician? And how did the comedianing come about? Is that a word?
I am not naturally musically talented anyway, so I was never going to be a musician. I don't think. I just never.
You just wrote that off. You wrote it
Yeah,
off
I think
at an
so.
early age.
I think so. It never appealed to me. Like I love watching bands. I love listening to metal. I've never had that itch to be like, I wish I could make this. I'm perfectly happy to let other people make it, and I enjoy it.
Nice.
Comedy.
It's not like a Zen sort of Buddha vibe. I'm okay with. I think my ego's too big. I'm like, I can't comprehend that concept. What, being okay with someone else being better at something than you? Don't think so.
But I've got no idea how I would make it. So I've literally got no in. I've never. But with comedy, the first live comedy I saw when I went to uni, I went to see the sketch group at the uni I was at, and I immediately thought, oh, this is okay. I could do better than that. So
Nice.
that I had an idea of what I wanted to do and how I would do it, and it just felt accessible to me, whereas music's never felt accessible.
What did you do at uni?
Philosophy.
Funny. That's the funny man's.
That's the funny one, right? I always say, like, because I did just basically do comedy because we were just writing comedy and rehearsing it and doing shows pretty much for 3 years. And then I would do the bare minimum for the course. But I think philosophy is the closest thing you can get to stand-up anyway, because you're coming up with your own ideas as well as studying other people's thoughts, and you sort of have to structure arguments and all of that. And that's all stand-up routines are. It's just a ridiculous idea, and then you structure an argument around it. So it felt...
Is that how it works? Do you think of just like you're in the shower and you think of something funny and you go, that's funny, and then you don't tweet it, you work out around it, or do you have like a concept of like, well, that's pretty funny, shall I flesh this out and add it into a pic? Like, I've got no idea how you build like a stand-up.
Well, for a start, I would tweet it probably.
Good.
Because there's so much stuff available out there that I don't think there's such a thing as burning material anymore, really. Like, not even like it used to be. If you did a routine on Live at the Apollo, you couldn't do it live anymore because millions and millions and millions of people had seen it. But now there's so many different platforms that there's less and less people watching each one. It's so thinly spread that you can probably do a funny idea, tweet it, base a routine around that, do it on TV, and then tour that routine. It's not gonna affect things. Yeah, it's all right.
That's a good like, it's a good markup on the joke.
Yeah, the money's
it's like a 200% return.
The way I tend to do things now, I mean, it's chaos. That my creative process, which is heavily inverted commas around that, is absolute chaos. I tend to work on things on stage. I need to gig to be able to write.
You just go out there raw dog and fucking
not
rip.
fully raw dog. I'm trying to extend the analogy. I'm not going to.
You can do it. It's fine. I've told insane stories on here. For some reason, never been pulled up on them.
Not fully raw dog. I would normally stories. I would pull out. I would normally, if I've got a story, or an idea for a story, I would go on with that and maybe 2 or 3 funny things that happened around it, and then I just talk, and the way I link it up is improvised and just trying to come up with funny things around it, and that normally works. But I just need to drill that for gig after gig after gig. It's never finished because there could always be another bit I could come up with.
So you've got the story basics, and then you just fucking...
Yeah.
I imagine if you're a funny guy, which you are, extra funny shit happens, and then you think in your head, I'll keep that bit.
Exactly, yeah, exactly.
It's a bit like making music. It's the same thing. I'll make a drum beat or a riff, and then you sit on it for a while, or you accidentally do something, and you're like, fuck, that's actually cool. I'll keep that.
But you wouldn't work on it on stage, though, right? That would fuck everyone else up. Yeah, if the drummer started improvising, wouldn't that fuck everyone up?
Sometimes I've got sections in our set that I'm like, I will fucking raw dog a section.
How does that go down?
Like, usually quite well, but sometimes big flubs happen. I remember in Spain, I was somewhere in Spain, and there was a fill where it's like sometimes I'll do a blast beat, sometimes I'll do some fucking mad other fill. And that night, I'd been drinking the night before, and I hadn't really decided. Usually, when that song starts, I'll decide I'll do the blasty one because I'm feeling quite good now, or I'll do the filly one. Hadn't decided. Got to 1 second before that fill, went, I haven't decided which one, and I just stopped playing. I just went, and then got back into it. So there was just an empty bar where there should have been a fill. Yeah. And it ruined my week. But sometimes I'll do something, I'm like, oh, that's sick. And then it will come up in writing later on. I'll be like, oh, remember that fill? Remember that raw dog fill that I did?
Yeah, I think sometimes you just need to be on stage. You need to be in front of people to have that pressure. I feel like that's what it is. With people looking at me, then my body panics and I have to come up with something, and that's normally how I get the best stuff. The
synapses fire together. Like, we've got to get out of the situation by making a joke. That's why sick.
That's why online gigs are never going to help me, because if I'm on stage and there's people there, there's no way I can get out of it other than coming up with something. An online gig, I could just shut my laptop.
I'm still shook about you telling me the online gig situation. Like, the concept of that is so Orwellian, just horrible. But I'm kind of...
We did Mock the Week the other day. We recorded Mock the Week on Tuesday, and now in this lockdown, you're not allowed a studio audience. Before, we could have 100 people in the studio audience, socially distanced with masks, and an audience on Zoom. But we weren't allowed a studio audience this time, so it's just a Zoom audience. So we recorded it as normal in the studio, but in front of 2 massive screens with hundreds of people on Zoom.
Was that good?
It was all right, actually. They kind of, I think they all wanted to be there, so they were up for the show. But there's a weird gap in between you telling a joke and them laughing. So Mock the Week's a nerve-wracking show to do anyway, because you're in front of a lot of people and you're in front of your peers and you want it to go well and they're filming it. And it's all new material, so you've never said most of this stuff before. And with the Zoom, you'll like sail a joke out there, and then there's a literal gap. Like a gap, we're waiting for a fill. And,
oh my God.
And then if it lands, it lands. But if it doesn't land, you're like, oh, please tell me that everyone's muted themselves. Yeah.
It's like you're fucking like driving a joke with a driver at the beginning. It's like...
I do tend to scream...
I'm in the rough.
I do tend to scream 4 after all of my jokes anyway.
I actually have... This is... my 2020... Is it 2020? It's 2020. I'm fucking... My brain's dead. My 2020 New Year's resolution, right, was because I have in my phone, in my notes folder, I have a small stand-up routine.
Yeah.
And it was my 2020 fucking New Year's resolution that I was going to go and do an open mic night and not tell anyone, just to do it.
Yeah.
And to see what it was like. And then the world exploded and I can't do it.
You want to hold on to it, but yeah, I'd wait until the gigs are back to normal, because I can't think of anything worse than doing your first gig at a COVID-safe environment.
COVID-safe. And it's also, I need to do it secretly because it's really treading the line of being okay to say the stuff.
Right.
So it's like, it's really on there, but I'm like, I think it's fine, but there's only one way to know, which is to go in.
Exactly.
There's nothing insane. I'm not being racist or anything. Look, my new stand-up special. No. So, how many podcasts are you doing right now?
So we got Off Menu, which is the food one. Then
explain off menu.
Yeah, sorry if you've not heard it.
I know it's the biggest fucking podcast in the world or whatever it is, but there will be metal people with long hair who only know Bill Bailey listening to this.
Right. Well, we've not had Bill Bailey on, unfortunately. He's on our hit list. So it's a food podcast, myself and James Acaster, and we interview a special guest about their dream meal, essentially. We say it's in a dream restaurant and that James is a genie waiter, and we take them through their dream meal. So it's still a sparkling water, poppadoms or bread, starter, main, side, dessert, drink. And we just chat around that, and it's dumb. It's dumb as hell.
It's very funny.
It's a very silly podcast, but it's also, we like talking about food, so we're quite serious about the food side of things, but also very silly. And I love doing it. So I do that.
And you get free food because of it. I've seen on your Instagram.
It's ridiculous. I never thought I'd be that guy, but
it's amazing.
I love it. Like, look, I get offered other stuff I don't like, and I don't take that. But with the food, I'm completely shameless because I fucking love it, and I'm going to put up pictures of it, and I'm going to eat it, and I've basically manipulated myself into my dream career.
I'm exactly the same, but it's like, I get drum stuff for free, which is, by now I should be getting it for free.
Yeah.
But when a brewery is like, we want to send you some beers, I'm like, abso-fucking-lutely, you can do that, and I will drink it on the podcast. Signature Brew London. I will drink it on the podcast. And everyone will have a nice time. And I'll post it on my Instagram. You know what? I'll post it as if I haven't got it for free. So it looks like I've paid my own money for it. So these people go, well, he's paying his own money for it. I'll do it.
I'm very careful about that. I don't do that. I'll make sure I say it if it's a gift or not.
Have I just fucked myself? Am I not allowed to say that?
But also, I will post stuff I do pay for as well, just because I like showing people what food I'm eating. I get excited.
There are rules about paid. Yeah, I'm not getting paid though. I'm getting paid in beer. Stop fucking trying to get me in trouble.
Look,
just met.
Keep having your signature brew. You're all right.
All right. Oh, that's a fucking get that on the fucking. I'll have another crate, please, guys. I like the Sustain one, the passion fruit IPA. It was gorgeous. So you got Off Menu. It's very funny. You've had Sam Carter's been on it. This is what I wanted to ask you. Do you approach the guests or do they approach you now?
It's normally, so it's a mix. So it's normally us approaching them. But then sometimes it comes through PRs when people are promoting things. Sometimes it's mates, sometimes it's mates of mates. It's a whole big mix up of how we get people. At the moment there's just a lot of through PRs and
so
people promoting stuff.
Listeners of this Sam Carter's been on there. Yes. Corey Taylor's been on there.
Corey Taylor's been on there, yeah.
Obviously, Sam, you knew each other before. Corey,
we kind of didn't know Sam before. Like, I think I got chatting to Sam. Obviously, like, I'm an Architects fan anyway, but I got chatting to Sam because he messaged me about the podcast because he's a listener, and he'd done my friend Joel Dommett's podcast as well. And yeah, we just thought it'd be a good shout, so we got him on. But the first time I met him properly was doing the podcast record.
Oh.
And Corey obviously came through a PR situation. We were trying to get him for ages because I'm a massive Slipknot fan. And when they were over in January, we nearly got him, but then the schedule didn't work out, so we did it on Zoom in the end. But yeah. But I'm glad the schedule didn't work out because to apologise, they let us go to the Slipknot recording Maida Vale.
I was also there.
Well, yeah.
I was there.
It was absolutely incredible. I mean, what a day that was.
Who were you there with?
I was there with my friend Kieran, our producer, the Great Benito, and our producer, the Great Benito's friend Guy, neither of whom know really about Slipknot or are into
Right.
metal, and were just stood there like two tourists, absolutely baffled by the whole thing. As
was fucking mental.
Clown was in front of them, like thrashing about, and it was making me laugh so much because the great Benito is not a metal fan, but it was so funny to see.
Clown came up to me. You can see it on the BBC fucking live thing. Came up to me and went literally directly in my face while he was doing the thing. And I'd met Clown over the last 3 or 4 days because I was on the Slipknot bus for a bit because my friend V-Man plays bass. And I'd met him a few days earlier. So we were on like speaking terms, but then he isolated me in that hole when he was in the crowd situation. I didn't know what to say. I said, and you can see me on the fucking camera, I just went, all right, mate. While Clown is going absolutely fucking mental in fucking Wait and Bleed or whatever it was, I just went, all right, mate.
All right, mate.
And I'll tell you what, Clown, if you're listening, you probably are actually, because it's not Fest Whoops, you got black makeup all over a very nice reverse weave Champion hoodie that I have. And now I am not as rich as you, and it cost nearly £90 that hoodie, and now it's ruined with clown makeup.
Is it ruined though, or is it more unique?
Well, it's not unique if I'm fucking walking the dog and someone's like, that guy's fallen over. That man's fallen over. And unless I have a sign that says "Clown from Slipknot did this."
I went to a Slipknot signing in 2000 at Virgin Megastore, and
you're a day one maggot.
Oh yeah, totally. And Paul signed my arm, and then I had to wash it off for PE 2 days later, and I was devastated.
Oh, fucking hell! Imagine how much that arm would be worth now.
Right?
fucking mental. Well, I don't want to talk more about Slipknot because I imagine we're going to talk about Slipknot later on. You've got the one podcast, Off Menu. It's very funny. Everyone should listen. You get... Oh, this is what I wanted to ask you about that. Who did you ask for David Cross, or was that PR?
No, so that worked out really nicely, actually. So we were in America. We went to America to record episodes. We just thought we'll get as many people as we can. And we put out, requests to loads of agents. And some of them got back to us, some of them didn't. But our producer used to work for Time Out. He used to do the comedy pages on Time Out. And he had people's emails from that when he interviewed them. And he just sent loads of emails out on the off chance. And that's how we got David Cross and Susie Essman just replied to him saying like, hey, Ben, yeah, sure, absolutely, I'll come and do it. And he was just super cool, just rocked up and did it. It was great.
I love David Cross. The Arrested Development, obviously Tobias, but fucking... Do you ever watch Tim and Eric?
Now and again. I've not delved into Tim and Eric enough, I don't think.
There's like 2 sketches with David Cross in it. One where he's like a cat painter.
Yeah.
And another one where he's like a pizza boy in a porno. And it's just so... It's like anti-comedy. Just not funny. So not funny that it's funny. But...
No, he's amazing. We were very happy to get him. Yeah, a big fan.
So good. So... Off Menu's your main podcast gig, but then you got radio gig.
Yeah, I do.
And you got lifers.
Yeah, so I do a show on Radio X with Matthew Crosby on Sunday mornings on Radio X, 8 till 11 a.m., which is too early, and they podcast that as well. So that I always say that is a podcast, but the main gig is doing the show on Sunday mornings, and then they edit it and put it out. And then Lifers, which is 8 episodes. 8 episodes, a Spotify exclusive podcast where I interview sort of bands who are still going but never hit it massive is the majority of the bands. That's the sort of story. We're just delving into the stories. And then also a couple of episodes with newer bands and how they're sort of facing up to a career in music. Now things have changed quite a lot. So it's just an interview series with bands that I like or people with interesting stories, some of whom I hadn't really heard of.
You had the guy from Diamond Head on it.
Yeah, we did. He was great.
He's like, I always just feel for him, like what he must think watching Metallica. Obviously, I haven't actually listened to that podcast episode. I imagine he goes into it, but just watching Metallica, he is the biggest band in the fucking world.
He is the most positive man I've ever met in my life. I think he's genuinely got a lovely life, and I went into it thinking I'm going to get that story. I'm going to get him being sad,
being gutted, mini Dave Mustaine story.
Yeah. But then you find out he's very happy. He's got loads of pets and a lovely wife, and Metallica pay him royalties. So
What pets? Snakes? Has he got snakes?
he's got like cats and stuff. In fact, that was weird. Like we went to a lot of metal musicians' houses, and most of them had a cat or a dog.
I'm currently in the presence of a miniature chihuahua called Pamela Anderson, who is behind the radiator there, and then three cats, one of which, Pepper, was initially trained to actually shit into the toilet. There's like a device that you can get to help the cats, and they use it as a litter tray. But she's at some point not the brightest. She has just taken that to mean any sort of enamel porcelain area. So what will happen on the daily is she will just shit in the bath, like a huge big, as they say up here, a huge big honking jobby, just in the bath. Sometimes no cat litter, and she's almost like she's like a mad woman, like because she does it and then she scratches around as if there's litter there, but she's just scratching air with this shit in the bathtub.
I feel like that's your fault for trying to train her to shit in the toilet, though.
I will not take the credit for that. That was actually my girlfriend. But if it had worked, fantastic. Something went in. The shit on white areas only went in, but not quite that. So you had Brady from Conjurer on Lifers as well.
Yes,
right?
yeah, we did.
Unbelievable band.
Yeah, incredible. I'm can't wait for their next album. He's sort of banging on about it online quite a lot, but who knows what they're going to do with it. But no, I'm a huge fan of that band. I mean, he will absolutely hang me from the rafters for expressing a genuine feeling about them, because he is an online troll, as I'm sure you know.
Yes.
But they are. Yeah, that was great. That was great that we got to go to Nottingham, I think it was, to record that interview and then watch them sound check and do a gig and stuff. It was it was a lot of fun. So we had them on, and we had Jamila from Ithaca as well, with the sort of newer bands we had on. Nice.
Conjurer, honestly, were the only there's been a few since then, but at the time when Conjurer came out, when that album came out, I was like, this is the best small band on planet Earth right now. Yeah. And then I tried to manage them, and they were currently managed by someone else. Then they lost them, and I was like, I've sort of self-managed my own bands back in the day. Self-manage, obviously, podcasts and clothing and whatever. So I was like, I'll never manage a band, even though I think arguably I'll be reasonably good at it. I'll never manage a band until it's a band that I hear and I go, I need to manage that band.
Yeah.
And it was Conjurer, and we were talking for a while, and I was helping them out for a while, and then they made one decision behind my back, and I fucking threw my toys out the pram. And I was just like, all right, fine, fuck it. You don't want to do this? Yeah. And that was it. And I don't regret it, because I think that they will. I think they're still self-managing now, and I think they will get the right manager, and they will be fucking ginormous.
Brady's a proper like businessman as well, though. Like he's so across it. I think he's.
Definitely, but they need someone.
Organisation. Like I never expected to see like spreadsheets and stuff when I started doing that podcast, but he is on it.
Yeah, and they blur the line between music and comedy quite well, which is what I love. We try and do it with Stray as well, which is like the music is so serious, but then off the stage we're the absolute. It's not like a gimmick or whatever, but off the stage we are just the opposite. The music is there, and that is what that is for. But if I want to make a funny tweet or tell a story about how I did some drugs and put stuff up my own arse, then that shouldn't be.
I completely agree. I've got their Twitter account's very funny. Old Man Gloom are very funny on Facebook. And it's like it doesn't take away from the seriousness of the music at all. You don't have to be sort of like a po-face Norwegian black metal band. You can have fun off stage. Like, and Conjurer will do things like they play Carly Rae Jepsen as their pre-show warm-up music,
and then just rip it afterwards.
Yeah.
Did you see the Smash Mouth T-shirt they did?
No.
That's honestly what made me think, oh, I'm going to check out this band. Honestly, I hadn't heard the band, and then I saw they just had a T-shirt with the guy from the All-Star Smash Mouth video, and it just said Conjurer. It was a photo of him, and then on the back it said, and the riffs start coming and they don't stop coming, and it just said that over and over again, and they don't stop coming and they don't stop coming, like, because you know the meme of it just the song just going on, and I was like, I'm going to check this band out, and I put it on. I was like, oh my fucking god, they're so good and funny. That's all I ask from every single person in the world. Just be funny and be good. Or be nice. I'll take nice at a fucking third place. Be decent human. But I would much rather you were the first two than the third one. I think we can start talking about metal now.
Let's do it.
I think we can get the fuck right in there.
This is always when I get slightly scared, because I do like metal and I talk about it publicly a lot, and then people ask me about it and my brain empties and I suddenly go, everyone's going to think I'm a fraud, Craig.
No, I don't want that to be the vibe.
You've asked me to come up with my top 5 bands.
I asked you that because it's a thing that happens on the podcast, and if I'd have asked you on the spot, you would have been more annoyed.
Yeah.
But what I'm not going to do is go, well, did you hear the 7-inch? If you haven't got the 7-inch, I'm not going to be that guy. I fucking hate that guy. That's deliberately why some of the T-shirts for the podcast are bands that I know they're like influenced by bands that I know everyone wants to pretend that they like,
right?
But they don't actually like, so they don't buy the T-shirt. The braver ones buy the T-shirt, and then people go, death. So do you like Scream Bloody Gore or Leprosy more? And then the person goes, So what I did was I'd do a death style logo, but for a podcast. So if someone goes, death, like, cool. Do you like the? And it's actually a podcast. So it's a podcast. So I don't know the band you're talking about. It's a podcast, but they know. It's actually good marketing. It's all marketing. I'm not gonna be that guy.
Okay.
I tell you what. Side note, before we go into the metal thing, I'm having a lovely time. I hope you're having a lovely time.
I'm having a lovely time. Yeah, of course.
Good. But side note, a strange amount of synchronicity. Last night I was watching Man Down, which I've never watched before.
Yeah.
And there was a man in it, and I went, I'm pretty sure that's the man that's on the podcast tomorrow.
Yeah, I did. Which episode were you watching? Because I've been in it twice playing.
You were Peter.
So that's the more recent one. That was the one with more lines, and I had a giant beard. Because I wrote on that series, so I wrote on series 3
I noticed that as well.
Yeah, so that I wrote that episode. So that character I'd written, and then just at the last minute, Greg Davis, his sitcom, changed the character to have a very high voice and a big beard just to fuck me over.
That's funny.
Yeah, but it made the character better, I think. It was fucking ridiculous, that show.
Oh, yeah, it was really funny, but what are the fucking odds? That's the first time I've watched it, was last night, and I went, I didn't want to be like the guy that in front of my girlfriend was like, doing a podcast with that guy tomorrow. But I IMDb'd it, and I was like, it is him. And I was like, that's how fucking strange.
Did she say, do you mean Greg Davis? He's really famous. Go, no, the guy in the beard with 4 lines.
I mean, yeah, that is what happened. No. How did that come about? Did you get asked to do it, or? Yeah,
so I've known Greg for years, ever since I started doing comedy, really. And I ended up supporting him on tour. So I supported him on 2 national tours. And then we just mates. So when he was putting together the show and he wanted some other writers on it, he had me and a guy called Steve Morrison, another guy called Mike Wozniak, had us on to write, and we just spent a few months sort of round at his flat, writing it, coming up with ideas, pitching ideas, writing scripts. It was fun. It
was really funny, and he is really funny.
Yeah, he's great. He's one of the best.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to throw you under the bus here.
Go on.
Because I gave you the heads up. What's your top 5 comedians?
Oh, top 5 comedians. Greg's probably in there, actually. No, it's interesting because it's sort of a similar question in that
Are you panicking now? Are you panicking?
No, I'm not panicking, but the front of my brain goes to, I think comedians will try and give like slightly more obscure comedians or American
they're always like, Tommy Cooper.
Yeah.
Tommy Cooper, yeah.
Cool
Come and see from Tommy Cooper.
cool American comedians. Whereas I'd imagine like it's the same if you ask musicians their favourite bands, they're desperately trying to search for the most obscure fucking death metal band.
There's one. I mean, I love like Nile, but also Elvis. So yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
But Greg Davis is probably in there as one of my favourite comedians. Patton Oswalt as well is absolutely incredible. I do watch less and less stand up. The more I got into doing stand up, the less of it I watched.
I can say this because I don't have a career in stand up. But you know what I fucking hate about stand up right now, and I can say this apropos of nothing. Is the like shocking people, but with just quite hateful stuff, which is just guaranteed to get a rise from one side.
Yeah,
it's like, well, I know that 50% of America is going to enjoy me if I take the piss out of a man. What I think is a man in a dress. Do you know that kind of thing that's going around right now?
It's a real thing at the moment. There's a lot of that sort of thing. Whereas all the people that those acts love are really good. So all of the sort of the original guys who are doing sort of shocking material, they've copied them but forgotten to include all of the good writing and the thought that goes into it. So
the satirical aspect of it. Yeah. Like, this is a character I'm making. You see the bigger picture.
So people like someone like Doug Stanhope, who I absolutely love, who would be considered a shock comic, you're missing the point if you...
Yeah, absolutely.
Because the joke is on him all of the time because he's a fucking mess. And he's thought everything through, and he might be doing it to get a rise out of people, but he has thought through the logic, and if it sort of loops back on him more often than not. Same with Bill Burr. I think people just get the wrong thing from them. They hear the sort of frontline shocking thing, and they're like, "Oh, I can do that. I'll go and make a pedo joke." And it's just pathetic.
Yeah, the Bill Burr. There's always subtle things before and after the joke, which makes you go, well, I know what this guy really thinks about this. Yeah. And then the joke's in there, and it's like, okay, I get it.
Yeah, and also a lot of the time, it's like a thought exercise with Bill Burr. He'll pick something shocking and then try to argue his way around to that, even though he doesn't believe it, in as funny a way as possible.
Also a drummer, and he is on my hit list, and I'm just waiting. He's a drummer, and we were at the same Meshuggah show in LA. And
that was a weird moment where he started tweeting about Meshuggah because
I was there.
Yeah. Oh, amazing.
He's a drummer. He went to that show with, I believe it was Danny Carey from Tool and Dave Elich, who was from the Mars Volta. Amazing. And it was just those two just bowling around watching Meshuggah. And he'd never even heard Meshuggah before. And he was like fucking freaking out.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wish I was there. He's on my hit list. Anyway, you give me fucking 3 comedians. Give me 2 more. I don't really care about this bit. Your face there. I felt bad. Well, don't you want to fuck it off? It's not written in the script.
A lot of my favourite comedians are also my friends, which is annoying, but is also quite good for my career because it really makes me work harder. When your friends are really talented and work really hard, then you're like, oh God, I guess I better as well. Then I want to keep hanging out with them.
Exactly the same in music. Exactly the same. Oh, your new album's really good. Fuck's sake, that means I have to try.
So like James Acaster and Nish Kumar, who are 2 of my best mates, also 2 of my favourite comedians, and I will watch anything that they do. But yeah, also I feel like I need to keep working to try and keep up with them in some sense. Also financially, I want to keep having dinners with them and stuff, so I've got to keep doing the level of work they are.
Nice. Okay, metal time. It's time to get fucking metally. But the thing is, what I've learned is no one, it's quite a successful podcast. We've got between 20 and 40,000 monthly listeners, individual people. And what I've learned, no one gives a fuck about anything. They just want to hear a chat. So don't think that you have to be like...
Oh, no, don't worry.
You have to know the fucking bassist's fucking... Oh, the bassist actually lost his finger in a skiing accident before they made that EP. No one cares. Do you know what? The bit in this podcast where we made the analogy between writing stand-up and writing music, now everything else is just free.
The raw dog bit.
Yeah, this is the sheath is off. What is your top 5 bands of all time?
Do you need them in
Go
order?
slowly. Nah, if you can give me it in order.
I don't know if I can give you it in order, but I was just wondering if that's
do you
not
have a
part
number
of it.
1?
Yeah, Clutch.
Clutch?
Yeah, that always surprises people, but also I bang on about them a lot. They're the best fucking band in the world, and every other band that I love, I understand why they're not like pop star big. Clutch, I think everyone should love, and I don't understand why they're not the biggest band in the world.
I mean, I don't not love them. Drummer, I think John Paul Gaster, I think his name is. Fucking unbelievable. Unbelievable groove. The band is really groovy. They're not so scary that they couldn't be incredibly massive. But you're right.
They're very understated. They sort of shuffle on. And if it's the first time you're seeing them, you think the roadies are on doing the sound check and the band haven't arrived yet.
They're big roadie energy from every single one of them.
Yeah, because they've got, they wear like combat trousers and they've got their keys on carabiners.
They look like they are not wearing masks right now, and they may be protesting their right to not wear masks.
But they're not those guys. They're
not those guys. I know they're not those guys.
They could be those guys.
But they look very much like there are bumper stickers on their truck suggesting not to speak to them.
Sure, yeah. I think I mean, by the way, I'm totally ashamed of this. I've tried to come up with my top 5 bands. They're all American and they're all men. And I think that's shameful. And look, I fucking love British music, and I love a lot of new British metal as well. But what I've gone for in my top 5 is sort of more of a legacy and consistency.
I feel like you're in the genre of mostly American men anyway.
Sure.
So in terms of a percentage, I feel like you're fine.
All right, okay.
But I'm now intrigued. Is number 2 going to be?
I'm not going to go numbers.
Elvis after everything I said. Okay, right. What's your number 1 Clutch album? And you know what? I'm going to go listen to it because I've never listened to one the whole way through.
Oh, Blast Tyrant, easy.
How old is this album?
2005, I think.
Nice.
Or maybe it's later than that. But all the later Clutch stuff I really like. So I like the early stuff, the more hardcore-y stuff, but it's the later, more bluesy, sort of funky stuff that I'm into.
I'm really taken back by this. Oh, do you know what I once saw? I think that the first time I knew that you like metal, I can't remember where it was. I think it might have been Kerrang! Was like Ed Gamble's top 10 albums of the year or something like that. And I was like, okay, well, that's the guy from the TV. I'll have a look at this. And then it had Cult of Luna on it. And
with the Julie Christmas album.
Mate, that album is fucking... Cult of Luna, I reckon if I've got a top 5 bands, Cult of Luna is 6 or 7. Like, they're so nearly in the top 5.
I don't think I have listened to a lot. I have listened to it, but I've not sort of delved into the rest of their back catalogues as much as I should have done. But the Mariner album is just perfect. Like, that is stunning.
Unbelievable. See, she could have been in there.
Yeah, sorry, Julie.
In your male-dominated American... Ed Gamble supports only US male music. Anyway, sorry, give me another band.
Well, we've talked about Slipknot, but Slipknot are a band I never stopped listening to since they came out with that first album.
You're listening to the Downbeat podcast on notfest.com.
I was contacted in advance and told I had to say this, unfortunately.
Right, so what's your favourite Slipknot? Oh, I've got to be careful now because I can't really shit talk Slipknot. Which not that I would.
You can't. You wouldn't want to shit talk Slipknot, but we can talk about our favourites, right? That's not shit talking.
Yeah. Let's go.
The first album means the most to me because that was when I was just getting into music, and I was so obsessed with it. I found the mini disc of that I'd ripped it onto mini disc at my mum's house, and I'd written Slipknot album of '99.
Oh yeah. Wait. Side note. What an excellent format that just didn't take off.
Yeah.
Mini disc.
Well,
they were perfect.
techs in theatres still like mini disc because there's no. So they'll still use mini disc in theatres because there's something to do with no gap when you skip a track. So when you go onto a track, with CDs and MP3s and everything, there's a little gap and then it starts. But with mini disc, there's no lag; it just plays straight away. So for sound cues, apparently they're perfect.
Interesting.
Is it?
Interesting.
Big swing on the word interesting there.
Okay, so the first one means the most.
Yeah,
but it isn't your favourite.
Sentimentally, it's my favourite. Musically, Iowa is my favourite.
It's the same for me. Exactly the same. I feel like I want to say Self-Titled is my favourite, but Iowa gets the most listens.
And third favourite was the one from last year.
Is it?
I think it's amazing.
Look at that.
I've not put that down since it came out. I think it's incredible.
It is very good. But that's shocked me. And I guess that's probably what... I mean, Slipknot would be happy with that, wouldn't they? If everyone on Earth was like, well, the first two are my favourites, and then... Because, they're the fucking best. And then my third favourite's actually your newest one. Yeah. I would be, if I was the artist, I'd be like, that's actually exactly what I was going for. I made bangers when I came out, and now I have continued to make bangers. And the rest of it was fine.
It is impressive, though, if you're that successful and you're still making a really good album. You don't need to, do you? You just need to sort of get 2 really good tracks to whack into the live set. But to do a whole album of them, I thought was really impressive. Love them.
I think Nero Forte?
Yes, Nero Forte, yeah.
Very heavy song, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Very heavy song. Well done.
Well done, lads.
Employers, well. How many times do you reckon you've seen Slipknot? And hang on, how old are you?
Not that many. And how old am I?
Yeah, that's 2 separate questions again.
I'm 34.
So we are the same. I'm 33, so...
I don't think I've seen them that many times because I got into metal and then I've obviously always been into metal, but then when I started comedy, I basically had to stop going to gigs because I was trying to work every night. And when I was at uni, no one else liked the same music as I did. I would have to convince mates to come to gigs with me, and I wouldn't really go by myself. So no
Grebos at your uni. Just
certainly not that I was hanging out with.
Just Greb Gamble.
Yeah. So I think I convinced 2 mates to come and see Dragon Force with me, and then they refused to come to see anything else with me after that.
That's fucking understandable. Jesus Christ!
Come on,
do you want to come and see the music from Game Boys sped up on guitars?
Look, we're yet to talk about my 2 years in the wilderness of power metal, but they happened.
I mean, I'm half kidding. The guy from Herman Lee from Dragon Force absolutely clears up on Twitch right now.
I bet he does.
The amount, I even saw it yesterday, he's just doing like some impromptu fucking shred thing. 3,000 fucking viewers. I can only imagine how many subscribers that he has. That is sailing through the pandemic. Oh, lockdown. Oh, it doesn't matter. I made fucking 10 grand from just playing the guitar. Really good, like a fucking Game Boy. Almost unlistenably fast.
I will go back to that first Dragon Force album now and again. That's the less Game Boy stuff.
That's the Fire and the Flames song. Is that on that one?
No, I think that's the second one.
That's Game Boy to me.
That's Game Boy. That's getting Game Boy.
I'm not saying they're a bad band. I'm saying
they're not in my top 5. Look, I enjoy their work.
An audio, some sort of like seizure from just the amount of notes happening. Anyway, we talked about Dragon Force. We've established they're not one of your favourite bands. Did you have the Slipknot VHS? Did you buy that? Remember the fucking Welcome to Our Neighbourhood VHS?
Yeah, I had that. Yeah, I had all that stuff. That. Yeah.
Did you buy the album based on what they look like? Because I fucking did, and I'm not afraid to say it. I was in a shop, Sound Machine Reading, shout out Sound Machine Reading, and I went, wow, that is a clown, and the other man has spikes. I think I read a review, but also I was probably
totally taken in by the mask and the jumpsuit. I
By
definitely
the horror.
try and get a boiler suit after that album came out as well.
Remember when they changed to white? It was like a power. You know, it was like the first real thing after Power Rangers. Like, you were too old for Power Rangers when Power Rangers introduced the Green Ranger, and it was like, whoa, fuck. Then you had nothing like that in your life from about 8 to 13. And then Slipknot changing suit colour, I got a bit of whatever dopamine, the Green Ranger dopamine really. Like, it's this. Hang on, that's the same but different. What? That's exactly the same, but it's slightly different. That was big for me.
Now I was just thinking of bands that are consistent and always release bangers.
You don't have to.
This is what I was trying to define what my favourite bands do, or So High on Fire are the next one.
You love a riff monster gamble.
That sums up what I like, though, is just fucking riffs.
High on Fire.
Yeah.
Fucking. What's your favourite? Snakes to the Divine.
No, I think it's. Again, I don't know if it's a controversial choice. I can't even say the album title. The De Vermis Mysteries.
What? How old is that? I'm not massively schooled in it. You're making me look bad.
Let me have a look.
I just know those first two.
I haven't even unwrapped it. That's how much it's my favourite High on Fire album. that cover.
Ooh, delightful artwork.
Yeah, it's really good artwork. It's a tattoo artist called Tim Leahy did the artwork.
I sort of fell off from High on Fire. I bought the first two based on Matt Pike just being a riff legend.
Yeah.
And then I don't know what happened. I just fell off. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, you should. I mean, there's no bad High on Fire albums. They're all really good.
You are like there's there's a rumour Bill Bailey likes Opeth, but then there's Ed Gamble loves High on Fire. That's like, you are legit. You have.
Well, there's only one other comedian who has the same taste in music as me. Do you know Rob Delaney? Who
I think I saw him wearing a Wolves in the Throne Room t-shirt at maybe a night at the Apollo or opening for someone or something, and I was like, that guy has a Wolves in the Throne Room. At this point, they were obscure black metal. Yeah,
he fucking loves riffs as well. So I've seen him at a High on Fire show, he loves. I mean, I was trying to work out who the next band would be. I've never stopped listening to Rage Against the Machine, so. And it always sounds fresh every time I listen to it. So they've got to be in there.
It's unbelievable how much that first album stands up.
Yeah.
I mean, our band, we get it all the time because it's all of our biggest influence. Oh, your band sounds like Rage Against the Machine. Well, they're fucking good.
Yeah.
All right? And we're not, it's not like we're stealing it. We're just heavily influenced. I know, it's because our guitarist makes the fucking mad noises, so everyone goes,
right.
Excuse me, guitars are either supposed to sound like Game Boy noise, like Dragon Force, or they're supposed to sound like riffs, like High on Fire. You can't do that middle thing, or else you're Rage Against the Machine.
But yeah, I think they've got to be in there. Really, it feels like a boring band to put in there because they are so good. It's not. It doesn't feel like an interesting choice saying Slipknot and Rage Against the Machine, but they're both really good.
I don't think we could spice it up if you want. You want to say one of their albums is shit, but it's not. So you can't.
Not. That's the problem, isn't it?
We'd just be throwing it in.
The only reason I nearly didn't put Rage in is because I don't think they've released enough albums.
That's fine, though. And sometimes that's better.
Yeah, it is. But then I sort of want them to release another one to prove that they didn't just have loads of flukes. I need that consistency.
By this point this year, they were supposed to have reformed, weren't they? And supposed to have played many gigs.
Yeah.
The whole. Did you see them as Rage?
Yeah, but only do a festival set. So I saw them at Leeds Festival in, I guess, 2000. I think 99, 2000.
2000 before they broke up.
Yeah, literally, it was about 2 gigs before they broke up, I think. I think they did Leeds, Reading, and then broke up.
I was lucky enough to see them when they got back together, I think 2005 or 2006 maybe, Reading Festival. And then we played a load of festivals that Prophets played as well. And as much as it was like nearly Rage Against the Machine, it was, I don't want to put you on the spot here, if anyone's listening who's ever done the party drug bath salts, it's almost like nearly getting there on a real drug, and you quite nearly get there but not quite there, and that's what Prophets of Rage is. So I've heard. Someone I know told me that.
You need Zach, right?
Yeah, exactly. And there was just sections where I was like, this is sick, but if Zach was here, I wouldn't be here. I would be fucking upside down in the middle of the pit.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I absolutely love them. I hope they come back and do all the festivals they were supposed to.
Do an album. Do a fucking album. There's no way you could put Zach over a Zanussi washing machine and it would sound fucking fantastic. Yeah. I would be fucking moshing. Because
I nearly said System of a Down as well in this, because they mean a huge amount to me, and they, with Slipknot, were one of the bands that I properly got into when I started really enjoying music. But then they've not released music for ages but then they released 2 songs this year, and those are really good. So now I want an album.
Yeah, my thing was, I think when I was a kid, System of a Down really got me into, and Rage Against the Machine got me into the political side of music and the using music as a protest device. Yeah, and they really influenced me. And the first album, and Toxicity, I was like, unbelievable. And then now I'm a little bit like, the drummer came out with that fucking anti-BLM stuff, and I was like,
well, pro-Trump. I mean, who would have thought a member of System of a Down being pro-Trump?
Like, could you have just not said that? That's what they should have just fucking had a little band meeting and he'd been like, guys, I believe, by the way, I think this is happening.
Well, this top 5 bands would have been a lot easier, but System of a Down probably edged out because of those comments as well. But then also, I could have easily, 5 years ago, if you'd asked me, Pantera and Down would have been in there. But I feel bad about doing that now.
Oh, yeah, completely fucking... And you know what? It fucking just dead to me. Just the minute it happened, I just went, nope, that is a childhood band just removed from my... And I just can't enjoy it now. And it annoys the fuck out of me because I love Pantera. Yeah. But then I just see what he did and I think... There's absolutely no excuse.
Yeah, no, there isn't. And when he did that, and everyone went, oh, fuck, now we have to acknowledge it. Because it's not like there weren't clues before, but everyone gave him so many passes and gave Pantera so many. The flags, the fucking flags, we were all like, well, maybe they don't know what it means. But then he did that and we were like, oh, no, we got to admit this now.
He did that in the 2010s. I mean, obviously you wouldn't get a pass of it ever, but if it was maybe in the height of the punk movement, like a shock punk move in the 70s, maybe you would get some kind of a pass. Yeah. But absolutely not on. And to have obviously the thing about it being a joke or whatever, not funny. I'm speaking to a comedian right now. We both agree it's not funny, mate.
Not a funny joke.
Not a funny joke, but also that shit has to be in your behind the scenes vocabulary for it to fucking just manifest when you're a bit drunk.
But exactly. And also the fact he said it was a joke because everyone was drinking white wine, and then Rob Flynn immediately dropped him in the shit and went, "No, we weren't. That wasn't a thing."
The fucking mental gymnastics to be like, right, how? Okay, the white, we were. There was a power button. No, that's not going to cut it. Wine. wine. It was the fucking wine.
Why, it must have been the wine. Yeah, so they're sadly not in there, but that would have been an easy choice for both of them because, you know, their music was incredible. Fifth band, really hard. And sort of a toss-up between more riffs. Do you want some more riffs coming your way?
I just want whatever is the answer. Don't want...
I struggled to come up with it, Craig. Baroness, Torch, or Mastodon? I haven't decided.
Oh, please, can we pick Mastodon? Because I can talk to you more about it. Because the other two, I'm okay with them. Torch, actually, one of the most boring bands I've ever seen live.
You are mad. They are fucking great live.
Are they the one with two drummers? No, that's Kylisa. Okay, yeah, so I am talking about Torch. I saw Kylisa and Torch on the same tour.
Yeah.
And I was just
jealous.
And it was actually Mastodon, Kylisa, Torch.
Amazing.
And or was it? It was ISIS, not the militant militia group.
Yeah.
The band ISIS. Kylisa Torch. Anyway, and I was just underwhelmed.
No, I fucking love them live because I
can't believe
kind of the same with
the
Clutch.
riff
Like, I
monster.
love that they just smash it out, and they're so loud live as well.
Wait, I'm not being funny, and I'm not putting these bands down or anything. But you say you're not very musical. Fucking get a guitar, pop it in drop D, stick a bar. You can make these fucking riffs. Me just completely fucking disregard entire band's careers. You could fucking do that. No, but the sort of riffs that you like come from the mind. They don't come from the prowess so much.
Sure. Yeah, no, I like, sort of more just slamming riffs rather than noodling.
Mastodon. Let's do Mastodon then.
All right, Mastodon. Easy.
Okay, so now we're going to go, this is like a sub-level. This is what I like to do the top fives with, because then if there's a band that we both really like, I mean, obviously I really like the other bands, but we can like zone in on a few things. What's your favourite Mastodon album?
Hard, isn't it?
And can you give me an order to the Mastodon albums?
No. I definitely can't do that.
Flat out, no, you can't do that. We're nearing the end now.
I can tell
Please,
you the ones that I like less, but that seems like a negative way of doing it.
Yeah, it's really not a great way of doing it.
Yeah. In fact, there's only one
tell me
I
the
don't...
one you like the most. Let's work out from there.
The thing is, I'm going to sound like such a basic bitch, but... I'm not going to say that one. I'll say Blood Mountain.
Again, this is... I'm going to start calling you Crucial Ed Gamble, because you are just... You're the kid with the back patches that I don't want to talk to, because I'm scared he'll be too cool for me.
Blood Mountain's definitely up there, I think. But then the Hunter, like, I'll go back to the Hunter a lot. But the Hunter is just like the more basic, like fucking slamming metal tracks, right? There's
my problem with the Hunter. The Hunter's probably. I love Mastodon. I love every Mastodon album. The Hunter is definitely last for me.
Oh, really?
And it is. Yeah, and it's only because there are massive riffs on it. But I got into Mastodon on Leviathan.
Yeah,
and I loved the whole. This is a fucking. Concept album, the whole Moby Dick shit, and then obviously every other album is a concept album. And then The Hunter came out really quick after Crack the Sky. Crack the Sky is one of my favourite albums of all time.
Yeah.
It's definitely in my top 5 albums of all time. And then The Hunter came out really quickly afterwards. And I remember thinking, that was really quick to come up with an interesting concept and all the riffs and whatever. And then there was a DVD that came with The Hunter. And the DVD was 5 minutes long. And you put it on, and it was a couple of interviews, and they basically just said, we weren't going to do another album, and then we signed to Roadrunner, and when you sign to a label, then they give you the money once you give them the album.
Yeah.
That was the undercurrent of what the DVD was.
But I still really like the album, though. So what does that say about me?
The songs are amazing. The thing is, it says more about them being able to just fucking make bangers on demand.
Yeah.
Like Curl of the Burl, the song The Sparrow, the last track's maybe one of my favourite Mastodon songs.
Yeah.
But I think, I don't know, maybe I don't care as much about it now, but I think at the time I was like, that's not my Mastodon. Well, what book have you read to make this album?
I think if a band releases one of your favourite albums of all time, then the next one's always going to suffer a bit, right?
there is an element of that. I was on the Crack the Sky Come Down.
Yeah, exactly.
Fuck.
Leviathan's up there
right.
as well. I walked on. Leviathan's definitely up there. I think I walked on stage to Blood and Thunder at my Edinburgh show in 2017, so that's got a special place in my heart.
See, even I can play that song on guitar.
Yeah,
And I don't even play guitar. I just wanted, because that riff is fucking unbelievable.
yeah.
And the little turnaround at the end.
Who
of the
does a
song.
lovely guest spot on that? Neil Fallon.
Is it fucking... Is it?
Yeah. And I got to see them do that. So this is the best night of my fucking life was I did warm-up MCing for the Golden Gods in 2017, I think, and Mastodon and Clutch were on, and I got to introduce them onto the stage and watch from side of stage and see Neil Fallon guest on Blood and Thunder live.
Wow. Did Behemoth play that one?
No, they were the year before or the year before.
I went to one around those times, but I couldn't remember who was there.
No, it was Clutch, Mastodon, Orange Goblin, and Avatar.
You were just fucking jacking off.
Yeah.
Fucking riff fest. All of the Mastodon songs that have Scott Kelly from Neurosis are like my fucking favourites. When he just pops up, it'd be you're 3/4 of the way through the album, and he's like, and
See, if I was cool, I'd say Neurosis, wouldn't I? That's the sort of band I should have said to seem cool.
And you know, and I really could have fucked you because I love Neurosis.
I do really like Neurosis, but I don't know.
It is one of those
about
ones where people pretend.
Yeah.
And they're one of those ones that if I wasn't a nice guy, that I would be the person that someone's got a Neurosis shirt on, I'd be like, so you're more into Through Silver and Blood, and then just fucking But I'm not that guy. But I would have loved to have had a Neurosis chat. Do you like ISIS? Not
I do.
the militant group.
I do.
Ed Gamble supports ISIS.
I do like ISIS. Again, I couldn't have an in-depth chat. I've got most of their albums, and I've got a lot of their. There's live albums they did as well.
The little ones with the bug on it.
Yeah, I'll stick those on quite a lot. But I couldn't like tell you my favourite album, or especially with bands like that. It all melds together so nicely, and I'll put an album on. And it just it runs and runs. So I'm not going, that's my favourite track, skip to that. It's just pieces of work.
I was just checking because if you like Neurosis and Mastodon, then obviously ISIS is the next logical step. But if you have previously, delved into Cult of Luna, but maybe not gone deeper, I really recommend the latest one. Fucking great. Unbelievable.
Was it this year?
Last year.
I'll check it out.
In fact, everything they fucking do. The thing that they do that I love the most is they'll introduce a little motif on track one, and then 90 minutes later, that tiny bit from track one comes back as a massive riff at the end of the album. Amazing. And it's just like, I feel like I'm in fucking space. Anyway, that's 5 bands, isn't it? You give me 5 bands.
Yeah, done it.
We've done it. You plugged your podcast.
Yeah, done all that. I've got a meeting in 4 minutes. We'll be done, right?
Yeah, I'm just about to end it now. Could you not?
I'm just checking.
Get that vibe from that? Or are you suddenly going to turn around and be like, so, the alphabet, let's go through it. Right, you got 4 minutes. This has been fucking lovely. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Send me your fucking file, and if you want...
Will you include that bit on the edit? Would you include that on the edit, saying...
Send me the fucking file. Absolutely. That would be there. That'll be other shit. If you want some merch, right, we do this nice embroidered... It's just clothes that you could wear to the club.
Yeah.
But a little embroidered pentagram.
Love it.
I'll do you... There's a bunch of it just dropped today. I will email you a little code, and you can just put it on the website, and you just get it for free.
Thanks very much.
The payment... You don't have to have it, but... No, it looks like it might be up your street. There's other colours.
Yeah, it's a nice colour.
Yeah, it's a nice sort of salmon. But there's others. Right. No. Thank you. Enjoy your meeting. I hope it's not I hope it's not TSD. And
no,
this has been wicked, mate. Thank you so much.
Cheers, man.